Yeah, Pat DeBerry is a Republican from Ohio. He was just talking as well. It runs about 90 seconds, Steve. Let's listen to this.
Great.
If the president would have asked me to go and decommission the IRS, and I found out in May, April, March, February, what you found out, rather than bury it in a letter on page 15, here's what I would have done. Just a suggestion, because of the lack of confidence the American people and this committee have, because of how our constituents are treated differently than how the IRS leadership treats America, is Mr. Camp, Mr. Levin, I just found out this happened. Wouldn't cost a cent. Just pick up the phone. The president has a phone. Oh, you probably have a phone. Pick up the phone, call Mr. Wyden and say, something very bad just happened. Don't know why. I don't think it's a cover-up. I don't think it's criminal. But because of the past and the lack of transparency in the past, and because we are a really important agency that the American people need to have confidence in, and Congress needs to have confidence in, I just wanted you to be aware of this, and we're going to continue to try to get to the bottom of this. When you don't do that, for what reasons, I understand completely what you're saying. Don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand where you're coming from. But when we find it buried in a letter, and then on Monday, because we asked the question, not because you provided the information, because we asked the right question, and there's probably a lot of questions that we haven't figured out are the right questions yet, we get the right answer. There's a feeling here that, oh my gosh, the IRS has no credibility.
That's dangerous for a country. It's Congressman DeBerry there from Ohio, Steve.
It is, and I think this is actually a very important point, because when the administration put forward John Koskinen as the new head of the IRS, the argument was, this guy's a pro, this is somebody who's going to take this seriously, whatever problems you had getting information from the IRS, and the going to end because Koskinen is a serious guy, he's professional-minded, and he will be straightforward in his dealings with the Congress. It's very, very clear from these latest developments that that's not been the case. And just in watching Koskinen and watching his reaction as he's being questioned, as he's listening to these members of Congress question him, he has this sort of smug look on his face, as if to say, look, you can't come after me for this. And his explanations, I think, are falling short in virtually every respect. I mean, he's not answering the questions as to why he didn't flag this very important information and only provided it when members of Congress asked it in a specific way. It's exactly the kind of deception that we saw from the IRS before he became the head of it.
Quickly, if I could, Steve, take it to 35,000 feet. Where does this go? Where does it lead us? What happens next?
Well, look, it's a big deal for the reasons that you suggested earlier. People understand the problem. They understand that the IRS and the administration hasn't been straightforward on it, and they understand, on the other hand, that the IRS has a huge double standard in terms of what they require from taxpayers and what they're providing now. I think ultimately it looks more and more like you had a government, a federal government, that was targeting political opponents of the president, and we need to find out exactly who knew about it and how that happened.